Hello class, this is the last part of 4.3. In the previous parts, I have dealt with the plot, the theme and the chapters line by line. We had to study 4 chapters and today is the last part of the chapter that we are going to read. And the chapter that we are going to deal with today is chapter 37. Till now, we have come to know that Phileas Fogg, okay, he is waiting everybody is waiting for him eagerly. Nobody knows. His friends at the Reform Circle, they don't know whether he is there. Has he come back home? They have sent telegrams to America, to Asia to find out where exactly he is. They are eager to know whether they are going to win or are they going to lose. Is Phileas Fogg going to give them money or are they going to end up paying Phileas Fogg as a part of their wager, as a part of their bet? So now they're almost counting every second, every minute. That's what we have read in the earlier chapter. All right. And a few of his friends feel that no, there is no trace of Phileas Fogg. So maybe they have won. But a few of them feel that Phileas Fogg is very particular about time. So maybe there are chances that he might arrive at the last minute as well. So what exactly is going to happen in this last chapter? Let's find out. Chapter 37, in which it is shown that Phileas Fogg gained nothing by his tour around the world unless it was happiness. Okay, yes, it is happiness for Phileas Fogg, and let's exactly find out why. In the earlier chapters, we found that Phileas Fogg, in spite of coming back, he had closed himself inside his house. Nobody, not even his neighbors, okay, had come to know that he had come back, except for his servant and the lady love, Auda. All right, so let's just find out. All of them, they are feeling very sad for him, Phileas, especially Passepartout and Auda. They're very sad for Phileas Fogg, that after traveling for these many days, after facing so many challenges, troubles, what exactly has come for him? There's nothing that is left for him, and it's only disappointment. Okay, so what exactly is going to change? How exactly is Phileas Fogg going to change his failure into victory? Let's find out here. The reader will remember that at 5 minutes past 8 in the evening, about 5 and 20 hours after the arrival of travelers in London, Passepartout had been sent by his master to engage the services of Reverend Samuel Wilson in certain marriage ceremony which was to take place the next day. Okay, so we are again going back to a little past wherein Passepartout was sent by his master, okay, to get in touch with the priest so that the priest could legalize his wedding with Auda. Okay, with his hair in disorder, without hat, he ran. Passepartout went on his errand enchanted. Passepartout was so happy for his master. Okay, this is the part we are in a little flashback wherein Passepartout, Auda, and Phileas Fogg, none of them know that they have won. Okay, so here Passepartout in fact is happy because his master is getting married. There is happiness in the life of his master. And we also know that Passepartout is a little guilty because he feels that troubles in the life of his master, especially that of Mr. Fix, was all because of him. Okay, so he's very happy that finally his master is getting married. Okay, so he runs without his hat, hair in disorder. He's not bothered to have a look at himself. Okay, he's on his way to the clergyman's house. Clergyman is the priest, but found him not at home. Okay, I'm in this paragraph, third line. Okay, Passepartout waited a good 20 minutes, and when he left the reverend gentleman, it was 35 minutes past 8. Okay, 35 minutes past 8. So 8:35. But in what state he was? Hair in disorder, without his hat, he ran along the street as never man was seen to run before, overturning passengers, rushing over the sidewalk like a water spout. Okay, he just rushed like how water rushes. The water, when water flows, it does not see where exactly it is flowing. It just flows. It does not consider the direction. It just flows wherever way passage it is provided. So similarly here also, students, it was Pasupatau who was just running like a madman. He did not see whether he was running on a sidewalk, that is the footpath or the pavement, or whether he was running on the main road. Okay, in 3 minutes he was in Savile Road. I'm going to the next page, page 998. He staggered back into Mr. Fogg's room. He could not speak. What is the matter? Asked Mr. Fogg. My master, gasped Passepartout. Gasp means he was choking. Okay, he was feeling short of breath, but he did not stop. Marriage impossible. Impossible for tomorrow. Why so? Okay, because tomorrow is Sunday. Okay, see, now students, we can come to the actual confusion. Okay, why does Mr. Fogg, Passepartout and Auda feel they have lost, but actually they have not lost? Okay, they feel that tomorrow is Monday. So Monday, the clergyman is going to be available. The priest is going to be available for wedding to take place. But now that Fogg actually went out of the house, he realized that it wasn't a Monday. The next day wasn't a Monday, but the next day was a Sunday, which means that particular day was a Saturday. Okay? No, today is Saturday. Saturday, impossible. So students, just understand the chaos. The chaos is all because of the international dateline. As we move towards east, all right, they have got an hour extra. They have got a day extra. All right. Yes, yes, yes. Right, Pasipatao. You have made a mistake of one day. We are 24 hours ahead of time, but there are only 10 minutes left. So now they have understood. All right, Pasipatao. Phileas Fogg, who was so very particular about his time, all right, he did not bother to look at the watch when he came home, or he forgot to adjust his watch according to the time in London. And this confusion was because of that. Hence, students, we need to understand how the theme of time is important for the narrator, for writer. And it's very easily, very clearly shown through the main character, Phileas Fogg. Okay. Passepartout had seized his master by collar, dragging him along with irresistible force. This imagery is so very clear in when we are reading. All right, Passepartout was so very excited that he did not bother what his master was doing. He just seized him, that is, he just pulled him, and he just pulled him with force. All right. Phileas Fogg, those kidnapped, Phileas Fogg felt he was kidnapped by his servant. Okay, without having time to think, left the house, jumped into a cab, promised £100 to the cabman, having run over 2 dogs, overturned 5 carriages, reached the Reform Club. Students, the speed is such an important factor in this lesson. All right, when we are watching movies, okay, movies which have this element of speed, we can make out this, hero is just rushing. All right, he doesn't even bother to see where he's jumping and where he's bouncing. So here also same thing, students. Phileas Fogg, he was just pushed into the cab. Okay, he jumped into the cab. For a moment he felt that he was kidnapped, but no, it was not like that. They just had to reach the Reform Club. Okay, they promised the cabman to rush. He was promised £100 extra. All right, they injured 2 dogs. They overturned 5 carriages. That means they accidentally bumped into 5 carriages. But they had to reach the Reform Club by hook or by crook. Okay, the clock indicated a quarter before 9. That is 8:45. Okay, Phileas Fogg had accomplished the journey around the world in 80 days. So they had not lost the wager. In fact, they had won it, and there was just some time. Okay, there was just 15 minutes. Phileas Fogg had won the wager of £20,000. Okay, pound is their currency. How was it that a man so exact and fastidious, that is so precise, okay, could have made this error of a day? It was not possible for Phileas Fogg. How come he to think that he had arrived in London on Saturday, the 21st day of December, when it was, I move on to the right hand side, students. Okay, when it was really a Friday, the 20th, the 79th day only from his departure. Students, this confusion was because they felt that they had arrived on the 80th day and they were late. But no, they had actually arrived one day earlier. That is the 79th day, and they were exactly on time. The cause of the error is very simple. Phileas Fogg, without suspecting it, gained one day on his journey merely because he had travelled constantly eastward. He would, on the contrary, have lost a day had he gone in the opposite direction, that is the westward. Students, we have something known as international date line that is covered in your geography in lower classes. All right. So, according to the international date line, just because he had travelled continuously eastward, he had one particular day. He had got one day extra. Okay, he had got one day extra. So, journeying eastward, he had gone towards the sun, and the days therefore diminished for him as many times 4 minutes as he crossed degrees in that direction. All right, he had got a day as he was journeying eastwards. There are 360 degrees on the circumference of the earth. And these 360 degrees multiplied by 4 times gives precisely 24 hours. Okay, 360 multiplied by 4 minutes. All right, that had given him 24 hours. That means he had gained one particular day. In other words, while Phileas Fogg going eastwards saw the sun pass the meridian 80 times, his friends in London only saw it pass the meridian 79 times. Meridian is the imaginary circle. Okay. Phileas Fogg had just crossed it 79 times, and hence he had saved on one particular day just because he was traveling towards the east. That is why they awaited him at the Reform Club on Saturday and not on Sunday, as Mr. Fogg thought. So, when they had spent that particular day, it was actually a Saturday and not a Sunday. Okay, and Passepartout's famous family watch, which he had kept London time, would have betrayed this fact if it had marked the days as well as hours and the minutes. He actually had a family watch which he had just forgotten to set. He had just not set it according to the time. Phileas Fogg had won the £20,000, but as he had spent nearly 19,000 on the way, the pecuniary gain was small. The actual gain was really very small. Okay, he had actually spent nearly 19,000 on his traveling. Definitely, students, when he had to travel by ship, the train, everywhere, he had promised all the drivers extra money. Even now, the cab fellow who was supposed to get them to the Reform Club was promised an extra sum if he drove his cab at an extra great speed. Okay, so this moment of speed, the theme of speed is also very important. For that extra speed, everywhere he went on bargaining for an extra sum. He promised everybody to pay extra sum, so in that way he had actually spent 19,000. But what was more important for him, students, as we have already known, that he had taken up this bet not just for money but for appreciation. He wanted to prove something to the world. Okay, he deducted. Okay, he divided the £1,000 that remained between Passepartout and the unfortunate Fix, against whom he cherished no grudge. He had no complaint against Mr. Fix. Okay, he deducted, however, from Passepartout's share the cost of gas which had burned, next page, in his room for 1920 hours for the sake of regularity. All right, Passepartout's mistake, the gas was burning in his house for those many days. All right, and it was clearly Passepartout's mistake that he had forgotten to turn off the gas. So, he had decided to deduct that much amount from his share. That evening, Mr. Fogg, as tranquil and phlegmatic as ever, phlegmatic is very clear, very calm, okay, said to Auda, "Is our marriageable still agreeable to you?" "Mr. Fogg, it is for me to ask that question. You were ruined, but now you are rich again. Okay, Mr. Fogg is insisting. He's trying to confirm whether she really wants to get married to him. So, in fact, she has a question for him. Auda has a question for him. Auda says, earlier you had no option. You were ruined, but now you are a rich man. So, do you still want to get married to me? Okay, so pardon me, madam, my fortune belongs to you. So, he's just realized the value of human relations. Okay, he says that my fortune, my property, my money, everything belongs to you. If you had not suggested our marriage, my servant would not have gone to Reverend Samuel Wilson's. I should not have appraised of my error. So he gives the entire credit to Auda. He says, hadn't Auda ready to propose him and was ready for marriage, he wouldn't have sent Pasupatau to the priest's house and they wouldn't have come to know about their mistake. Dear Mr. Fogg, said the woman. Dear Auda, replied Phileas Fogg. It need not be said that marriage took place 48 hours after and that Pasupatau, glowing, dazzling, gave the bride away. Okay, so next day was obviously a Sunday, so Sunday wedding was not possible, so they waited for Monday. Okay, the next day, as soon as it was light, Pasupatau rapped vigorously at his master's door. Mr. Fogg opened it and asked, "What's the matter, Pasupatau?" "What is it, sir?" "Why, I have just instant found out." Okay, he's trying to say something and move on to the right-hand side top. "We might have made the tour of the world in only 78 days. Okay, so there's a lot of realization on Pasupatau. He's in fact as smart as his master. No doubt, by not crossing India. If I had not crossed India, I should not have saved Auda. She would not have been my wife. And so, here is another realization. So, had they, because they met Auda, they tried rescuing her in India when she was in trouble. All right, Mr. Fogg quietly shut the door. Phileas Fogg had won his wager and had made his journey around the world in 80 days. To do this, he had employed every means of conveyance, steamers, that is the ships, okay, railways, carriages, yachts, trading vessels, sledges, elephants. So there was nothing that he had left out. The eccentric gentleman had throughout displayed all his marvelous qualities of coolness and exactitude. Okay, was very precise. But what then? What had he really gained? What had he brought back from this journey? And very journey, okay, long and tired journey. It was really very hectic for them. They had to face so many challenges, so many troubles. Nothing, say you? Perhaps so, nothing but a charming woman who, strange as it may appear, made him the happiest of men. So what had Mr. Pasupatau gained? Not just money, okay, not really money. Money had actually spent much more, but then he had won the love of his life, his lady love. Right? Truly, would you not for less than that make the tour around the world? So anybody would love to make a tour for this. That's what the narrator says, the writer says. Students, this entire story, the entire novel, we have just dealt with the 4 chapters. Mind you, remember, we have just dealt with the 4 chapters of this novel. We have not dealt with the entire novel. But then students, you can just have a look at this movie on YouTube. Around the World in 80 Days is a movie which has Jackie Chan in it, and Jackie Chan plays the role of Pasupatau. And the movie actually is changed a little. It's not exactly like the story in the book, in the novel, but then it's really fun to watch. You must watch this movie on YouTube. It's very easily available. All right. Even the other movie even the other story by this writer, Journey to the Center of the Earth, is again a famous Hollywood film. All right, you must watch both these films, because in both these films, students, as the writer gives importance to, is time and speed. That is more important for him. So I just hope you enjoy watching the movie. You also go through the 4 chapters, all the 5 parts of this 4.3 around the world in 80 days. Thank you so much, students. All the best.